How's it going?
Okay, we got a fantastic Premier League match coming up with You Got Diffed and the Pumpkin Patch.
A very interesting matchup.
Yeah, lots of good players on both teams here,
Yeah.
and I am just interested to see how these first bans go. We've seen a lot of assassin bans come out first, usually these last few games, and kind of wondering if that's how these bans are gonna go as well.
Yeah, I guess I can turn off my fan real quick. Give me a second. Alright.
Okay, so bands are starting to come out now. Looks like we've got Mercury, Kali, Cleo, so pretty standard stuff from the ranked side. Uh, yeah, that all tracks. And there's a Jingwei ban, and that also tracks. And I, for one, just can't wait until I stop seeing Jingwei in all of my ranked games.
Yeah, she's a super safe character. It's hard to kill her, and she does a bunch of damage.
Yep, and that's why I can't wait to not see her again. Now, the Shibalanke ban, I don't think I've seen Shibalanke banned in the last, like, 6 years. So that's kind of interesting. We got the Chernobog ban as well.
Seems like more of a target ban, it looks like. That's my guess.
Yeah, that seems like that's a good analysis there. And now we've got a Baka first pick, which Baka is great in this meta, and somehow he made it through bans, so
Yeah, I'm
excellent pickup.
surprised that I got through. Yeah.
Although, if you do first pick the Baka, then you do have to kind of worry about the Nemesis, because there it is. There's the Nem pick coming through. Interesting to see no bans directed toward the solo lane. King Arthur's pretty strong right now. A lot of warriors are pretty strong right now. Okay.
Interesting pick. He had a lot of options, but he went Bologna. So I
He
guess
went
that.
Bologna, yeah, and I don't hate that. I think that the disarm is obviously really good into a AA focused character like the Bakasura. I
True.
don't I don't know about picking it this early though. Okay, and it looks like now we're hovering the King Arthur. Uh, you can't really go wrong with that. Just provides a lot for his team. Pretty good survivability. A lot of setup too for the Baka and whatever else they end up drafting.
Yeah, King Arthur kind of wins that matchup early game, but I feel like the Bologna, once she gets items online, she's more effective. The more the game goes, like the longer it goes.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Uh, I think it'll probably. Ooh, now that's interesting. Hovering the Hun Bats.
Combat support question mark.
I certainly hope not, but maybe that's just a one of those pocket picks that we just haven't seen yet in in any league. Um, the ultimate's great for that, and I guess you do get the slow off of the okay. And now they're gonna switch that to an Amuzin Cobb, who's pretty strong right now. Mostly played more towards the mid lane or even the solo lane. So I'm
Yeah,
betting that that's probably their mid laner.
the extra movement speed. It's hard to box into him when and the cripple with the 10-second ultimate if he hits the stinger, which is good.
Yeah, yeah, really strong there. And we've got a Zeus band coming out, so clearly somebody doesn't think that's going mid. And we've got an Uller ban as well. That's a sensible ban across the board. He's just a very, very strong character right now, and that burst damage can be crazy for those first 10 levels or so.
Especially into an AMC that doesn't have an escape, and he's very vulnerable to getting jumped on and comboed. And
yeah, for sure, for sure. Khepri ban coming out. I always like that as a ban. Khepri's such an obnoxious character, especially if it's backing up something like the Nemesis. Uh, just so much safety in the dive.
yeah, that second life can sometimes be game changing in the right scenarios and the right situations.
Definitely. So now looking at this, it looks like I'm gonna say the Chaos side because let's see, I think it's you got diffed. Going with the Morrigan.
Interesting pick. She has a lot of ultimate varieties, different options she could use to change into.
And to make things even more confusing for the casters, they've gone and drafted Morgan. Because it wasn't hard enough having one. Now we've got to deal with both Morgan and Morrigan. But that's okay. Yeah, she's got lots of good transform targets. I am a little worried about her safety early on. I feel like if Baka farms, as we know Baka can, it's going to be very difficult for Morgan to get out of that ult with just the invis and the speed boost for an escape. So
Yeah. Yeah, positioning is going to be very important to do as the Morgan, since she doesn't have, like, a good escape ability other than her invis, so she's going to have very good positioning into their team. The Danzaburo is a good character, but into the AMC, kind of a bad matchup for him because Danzaburo has more fighting potential, very good killing potential into AMC.
I would definitely agree with that. The one counterpoint I would have, and it's really not much of a counterpoint, is that it's really easy to take Danzaburo out of his 3 just by applying the bees.
Oh yeah, true.
So I don't think he's gonna get too much utility out of that. It'll probably be somewhat of a slap fight, but I don't know that either one of those has too much of an
Ooh,
advantage.
the Sobek pick, that's good.
Yeah, I really love the Sobek pick across the board. That it's almost never not going to be useful. It is a little interesting with AMC just because he doesn't quite get his damage. Like, he does okay damage early, but it's not quite as impactful as, say, like that classic on her Sobek lane or something like that, where you just get the high early damage.
Yeah, they don't have very good kill potential because AMC's level 1 to 3 is pretty rough until you get some abilities, so they don't have very good kill potential early game, but they do have pressure because Ganesh doesn't really have good pressure in lane.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's got decent clear. I would probably call it a wash clear wise between these two for like the first 5 levels. Just Ganesh can, apply that damage buff to his ADC, and the bees are always just a great clearing tool. So yeah, I'm excited to see how this game goes.
yeah, I feel like it's pretty balanced. I'd say that the Nemesis has a pretty good late game. They both they get to like late game without feeding too much or dying. I feel like they'll have an advantage.
Yeah, we'll definitely. The Baka's gonna have to come out firing and kind of prevent those hyper carries in the AMC and the Nemesis from getting too far ahead or getting ahead at all.
They don't really have any snowball potential. Bakasura doesn't have any kill potential until he's level 5, so he's just going to be farming in the jungle. So the Nemesis has the advantage to gank lanes, and has the advantage to get kills early game. So she has like more fighting potential.
Yeah, I would say so, although I would say her utility without her ult is really just being a little bit faster and having a single slow.
True.
Especially, yeah. And Danzaburo is just incredibly safe. Like, it's a really, in a way, it's a very sage counter pick into the Nemesis, right? Because you can just ult out, you've got taunt, you've got your escape, which gives you kind of the limited stealth. Really good for kind of mitigating the bonuses the Nemesis brings.
And if I'm not mistaken, too, I believe if you get CC'd as Nemesis, you lose the shield, correct? Right?
Yes, you do. Although
So
I think that's limited to some. I think there's some kinds of CC that doesn't affect that. I think it might be hard CC that breaks it.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess they got that going for them as well.
Yeah, and in Debaka, it's a pretty good pick, I would say. You pop that reflect early, and it kind of mitigates most of the damage that he would get out of his ult. So.
Yeah, it's really hard to box Nemesis early game. The shield and the protection shred. And she has a slow with her too.
Right.
She has a double dash.
Okay.
So it looks like they got Hog purple. Yeah.
Which, I mean, all of what we've seen so far seems to conform to the meta pretty standard.
The AMC is trying to go for poke instead of clearing the wave. That's kind of a misplay. Probably should have tried to clear there instead of going for poke.
Probably so. He's lost about a fifth of his health at this point.
Yeah, he took a little bit of aggro from minion from archers.
Yeah.
Sobek's looking for a pluck.
It looks like they might have missed a minion or didn't clear one because they haven't hit level 2 yet.
Sobek.
Now they're picking over level 2.
AMC is still trying to clear wave. An issue there. Looks like they're going for XP, trying to push their early game lead, I guess.
And that's what you want to do, right? When you get even a little bit of an advantage. And that, just kind of a botched pluck there.
Yeah, normally what you want to do against Sobek when you want to kind of position yourself behind the minions, so if he tries to plug, gets the minions instead of you. But that's a missed pluck. That's a big punish right there. If Danzaburo had his taunt, that was a kill right there. Sobek misses his pluck. That's like a huge punishing opportunity right there. But I guess he didn't have the ability.
Yeah. And now they're taking over to level 3, so that's going to be probably the escape up for Danzaburo, as well as maybe the silence of Mesh.
They're definitely utilizing their early game pressure by going and getting all the harpies, which you should do when you're clearing wave and out leveling.
Yeah, utilizing that pressure best, and it looks like they might even get a little bit more now that they went, instead of going to purple right away, they went to wave, and now they're hitting the small minions, and now they're going to go to purple, so you're absolutely right, just maximizing that.
Yeah, that's what duo lane's all about the farm. Who can get the most items and levels first is what has the most fighting potential.
Yeah. Now it looks like both of our junglers have elected to go the Eye of the Jungle route. Now what do you think in both of these characters? It makes sense with somebody like Baka, who I don't think really makes as much use of cooldown reduction as he gets in his kit.
Oh, that was a good, personally...
First blood there.
Yeah, it was a good plug.
Yeah, just a little bit out of position, and sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah, a little bit of poor positioning by the Danzaburg. I would have personally, I would have stayed behind the minions. Just so if you're getting plucked by the Sobek has to eat the minion wave or like forces pluck there. But my
Right,
opinion
or
on the starter items, I'd say that if you're not comfortable with Nemesis, she has very good fighting potential early game. I would personally go the Mannequin Scepter
okay.
over the Eye of the Jungle, but I guess it comes down to like how comfortable you are with the character. Because with Nemesis, I personally go for like those early game like fighting, boxing, because I have a shield. I have all that pressure to fight. With Bakasora, I'm kind of just hyper farming, trying to get late game,
Right.
trying to get as much items as I possibly can, and yeah, I'd say if Nemesis makes better use out of Mannequin Scepter rather than the Eye of the Jungle, but definitely not bad. Oh, we got
Oh,
some
looks like we got
kills
a bit of
here.
a fight breaking out here. So, trading out one kill each way. And
Yeah, that was a bit of a misplay by the Ganesh. The Ganesh should have saved his silence for when the Bakasura jumped in. I guess he
yeah,
should have silenced immediately. The moment he landed, he should have immediately silenced so he couldn't pop his ult. So it would have given his some time to get away.
let's get self-healed by Morgan there. Just to
Yeah,
prevent Nemesis from doing any more damage.
that was a good Ganesh ult.
Very good Ganesh ult just to prevent. Although they might have secured it anyway, honestly. Even if Nemesis had tried to leave the cage.
I say the Morgana ult was a bit unnecessary. I'd say in that situation because she was dead no matter what. If she like tried to leave the Ganesh ult, she would have been slowed. Pretty sure she would have died
That's
there.
okay though. In hindsight, both Ganesh ult and the Morgan ult have pretty low cooldowns, so it's probably not too much of a loss. And now, ooh, Baka getting the chase down kill on the Morgan.
Yeah, it was a bit of an unnecessary beads. I feel like it was more of a panic beads there, but I'd say that beadsing that was unnecessary.
Yeah, it was probably not the play.
Yeah.
But hindsight's 2020, and I'm sure that that's something that'll get improved on as the game goes on. So here we are. We're about six and a half minutes in. Baka's got 2 kills, and Morgan, excuse me, is 0-2. With the beads being down, I would anticipate we get another Baka gank as soon as that ult comes back up.
Oh yeah,
Or we're just gonna get one in solo lane.
yeah, that was a misplay, but well, I guess it worked out. But the Bologna ulted, but I would have like saved her ult. I wouldn't have immediately like ulted away in that situation.
I
She
would
was
have, yeah, I think I would have ulted in place and just waited for the Baka's CC immunity to come off, and
yeah,
then lock him under tower, because that probably would have been a turnaround kill.
yeah. Because if the Bakasora had more health, he could have in the solo laner. They could have easily dived her under the tower because she used her ult early. That's it.
Oh, we got a fight breaking out in duo now.
Oh, that's super unfortunate that the
Oh, that is
Ganesh.
just bad luck across the board.
Super unfortunate Ganesh ult placement there, the pillar blocking the
Now, I have to wonder if, and I guess I'd have to go back and look at it again. If that was a guided Danzaburg ult that could have avoided that, then... Oh, that doesn't... So I guess they're just on slightly different wavelengths then.
Yeah, that was a good blink by the Nemesis there. Looks like she's gonna be able to get away, but
yeah, that was a good turnaround kill for sure. And yeah, I'm sure that we don't need to elaborate more on the Ganesh ult. I'm sure that they'll be thinking about that well after this game is done. So
I'm sure it was just a mistake. Like I'm sure it
for
was
sure.
just
Yeah,
misunderstanding with
and
the
that's okay. That's gonna happen. And it looks like we got Bologna proxy farming the Willow. Now, that's always, to me, as a solo laner, I feel like that's always a high risk for mediocre reward sort of thing. I don't think that you gain a ton, a lot of the time by proxy farming, except putting yourself out of position and making yourself a little bit more susceptible to tanks.
Yeah, I would say this early in the game, you don't want to take unnecessary risks like that. Like, I guess you get the pressure with the proxy farm because you get the chance to rotate and all of that, but mainly in the early game, you're just trying to farm. And you don't really want to make yourself a target like that unless you know for a fact that you can kill. If you got like a lead, you know, if you got like a 2-level lead,
Right.
like super far ahead, that's when you want to do something like that. But she doesn't really have the lead to do that. Really.
No, it looks like she's about even in levels. And would it be possible to see gold at this stage?
I believe so. I believe you got Diffed has a 100 gold, 1,000 gold lead. Yeah, 1,000 gold lead.
Okay. Well, that seems about right in comparison to how many kills are on the board. So, not a significant lead, but a little bit of one under 10 minutes in.
Yeah, it's still not completely over. As long as they stay safe and they don't let them get any objectives, they should be fine.
Oh, bad. Okay. Well, that was a very interesting flight path, but I guess they got the result they wanted.
Yeah,
and
very questionable.
Okay, and now I see that now we get Bologna caught out a little bit. I can't envision she gets away here. Yeah, and they're gonna get that chase down. One downside. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I said sadly for the AMC, there's not a whole lot you can do in that matchup because just Danzaburo just has more fighting potential early game, so you can't really box into him. You kind of have to just like let him let him farm and just kind of get what you can from it. Just kind of fight him when he doesn't have his abilities. So.
And we got now we just got the 10-minute Pyromancer, and they immediately pivot to the Scorpion, which is pretty good stuff. And it looks like they've turned around that gold lead. That's just about even now. So all it took was 2 kills, a Pyromancer and a Scorpion, which is nice. So I'd say it's about as close to an even game as you could hope to see at this point.
Yeah, I'd say normally if you're ahead in kills and you have like pressure, you normally want to be fighting those because people will try to sneak objectives and steal, because they're like you're desperate for gold when you're behind and desperate for for any like type of farm you can get. So when you have a lead like that, you want to pressure, like keep the enemy from getting objectives. And I guess they didn't have any ward placements on the objectives. So.
Oh. I would imagine Bakta gets the turnaround here. I don't know that Donza had to die right there.
I just feel like he took a bad fight. Like he was super low. Like his best chance would have been
oh, that was a great Ganesh ult, though.
Another good Ganesh ult.
A redemption Ganesh ult. Now, could we go back to God builds?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know that I would call it a pet peeve of mine, but I was wondering how Bologna died so quickly, and I realize now that that's because she went first item Golden Blade. Now, being a solo laner / guardian main yourself, how do you feel about the Golden Blade start that we see so often?
Like, I feel like it's a good item, but if you're going that item first, you don't really want to fight like early game. Like normally, if you're like gonna like box early game, you want to like get Golden Blade to kind of hyper farm and kind of ignore your opponent and just still farm. You know, You're not really getting it to box. So, the mistakes that she made, right? Is she got Golden Blade, but she tried to fight early game with no defense. Well, I guess with Bologna passive, you get 25 magical prots or something early game from her passive, but you don't really want to fight too much early. Get Golden Blade. The plan is to kind of hyper farm, and I feel like that's the mistake she made.
Well, so in the time that we've talked about that, it looks like Pumpkin Patch makes secure liquid carry, and looks Looks like a couple
Yeah.
more kills as well.
Yeah. Good.
And
Yeah, Dansborough's taking another fight.
yeah, I don't think he can take those fights.
Like when you're low against AMC that has like crazy poke damage, his ult is on like a 10-second cooldown. You really want to take fights with him when it's favorable. You know, like you don't want to take fights when you're HP because he has that long range poke damage. Another good pluck fight is Sobek there. Good peel.
You don't want to take those fights when you have, for lack of a better word, not great ward coverage.
Yeah.
Okay.
A good shield by for Nemesis.
That was an incredible heal and a good shield use for Nemesis to stay alive there. And I can't imagine Baka dives under tower for this, but AMC is probably still fair game.
Yeah, if Bakasora had ult there, that would have been like a good double.
Oh, and Sobek with the chase down kill.
That's all good.
Oh, all
yeah, the
good.
Bologna blinked in 30, I think blinked in.
And kind of bizarrely here, King Arthur not rotating at all. Probably because, I would guess at this point, for maybe being behind in tower poke or maybe behind in farm. It looks like he just takes the blue there.
Yeah, I feel like it was a good play by him not to rotate, because I think he would have missed all that farm and right lane. I feel like he wouldn't have made it to the team rotation, even if he started rotating. I think it was a smart play to go steal their camps and their farm, because now the Bologna just came back to lane. She missed a whole wave to tower. She didn't get a kill by rotating, so she kind of lost more there.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
So I'd say the King Arthur is pushing his lead. He's gaining an XP advantage because of that.
I would agree with that, and it does look like King Arthur elected to go the teleport here, and Bologna has both beads and blink, so he should be able to beat her on rotations most of the time. But yeah, probably still the right call to remain in farm.
Yeah.
Let's see, we're about 15 minutes in. We're getting on towards the mid game.
Yeah, it appears that Pumpkin Patch has the slight gold advantage. It would seem that they went from being behind by playing smart, and they were able to get back and have a lead. I'd say.
Yeah, I would agree with that. They've made good objective calls, and for the most part, anyway.
Perfect decision making, I'd say.
Yeah, good comms, good communication.
Yeah, another bad fight.
Okay,
Another bad. That's not good. It was a good Aegis though, but unfortunately,
good,
from the
very good Aegis. Ooh, and he gets the heal off. I don't know that he gets out here though. Yeah.
It's shit you never really want to take a fight against AMC when you're behind. That thing's like hard to block. It's like behind you. Yeah.
Oh, that was just a perfect storm of ultimates right there. I'm not really sure what you can do differently to avoid that happening.
There's not a whole lot you can do. I'd say fighting into 4 people as one person. I get it. You have a shield, you have a bunch of like boxing, but there's just some fights you don't take, and I just think that was just one of them there.
Yeah. And I was going to comment earlier on ward coverage, because I think that one of the problems that Dan's is running into is he keeps taking these fights out into the jungle where he doesn't have wards, and there's been at least twice now where he's been rotated on, either from the mid lane or from somewhere in the jungle that could have been avoided, probably. So.
Yeah, I say anytime
Wards win games, people.
Anytime you're behind, you want to constantly be warding, because you know you're behind. If you're vulnerable, you're an easy target when you're behind. You want to like play it safe. You don't get further behind when you're warding. People are gonna look the target.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Just the Danzaburo probably running into the edge of the jungle obstruction there.
Yeah, that was a good blink by the Nemesis to get out there, because if the Bakasora had ult, she was 100% dead there, because she already double dashed, so she used her escape ability, so.
And it looks like she might have used beads as well, or maybe she used it earlier in the fight, but yeah, she would have been completely out of luck. Interesting build choice here. It looks like we have a Poison Star coming out from the Nemesis. And I would imagine... I guess that would be for both the Morgan Le Fay and to a lesser degree the Bakasura.
Yeah, as a melee character, it's really hard to lock down Morgan Le Fay because she has a knock-up, she has movement speed from her 3, and then on top of that, she gets CC immunity, and she can use her ult to get away, and she has a slow and a fear, so it's really hard to die for her as a melee character. So I'd say it's a good pickup. I personally would have went like a Magi's Cloak or a Wing Blade so I could keep up with her, or a Frostbound Hammer, but that works.
Yeah.
I'm just saying what. It looks like they're contesting Fire Giant, and it appears that they had a word on it.
Oh, okay. Okay, but you got Diffed does secure it.
Yeah, they do.
Although it looks like they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose the Bologna there. I think that's sort of unfortunate positioning, but a really good dimensional kind of lock them in place. Oh my goodness.
The frag, the cleanup.
Oh no! Disaster has struck. Okay,
so I'd say the huge misplay there is they were trying to do Fire Giant, but they weren't warding, so they didn't have like any ward coverage, so they were able to come in and steal it anytime you're doing like an objective push like that. You want to make sure there's wards like in their jungle so they can't sneak the objective. So,
oh, big turn radius.
Yeah, that was a good piece. The age is too early, but I think
yeah, I don't know that there's anything he can do there.
Yeah, his best chance was to run away. That didn't work.
What does that entail? You gotta hit those. You simply gotta.
Yeah. Yeah, the Bologna's looking to take the fight. Outnumber her best chance to play defense.
So, despite securing the Fire Giant, I think they're now more behind than they were before taking the Fire Giant.
Get Morgan with Maze and using the
putting on the juke shoes. Still gonna die out to the massive AoE Sobek ult, but there's not much about that.
The good beats by the Nemesis.
Good beats by the Nemesis. Good beats by the Donza Bro.
Yeah.
Not quite enough to save, but it looks like King Arthur's gonna clean up, or I guess Bach is gonna take it.
Yeah, the AMC slowly if he would have been there earlier, the slow rotation, team fight might cost the team fight there. The slow rotation.
Yeah. And now Baka's hit level 20, so I would expect we see that Protector of the jungle come online.
Yeah, the King Arthur would be good ult by the Bucks.
Or good ult, excuse me, by the Baka. And the shutdown on the Baka as well.
That's a huge shutdown.
Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of gold. And I think it was on the AMC as well, which is good, because that'll help the AMC probably finish up their kins.
Yeah. So I'd say that was a good fight for them to take there. The only downside is they weren't properly grouped up. I'd say that was the only downside to that team fight there. They were grouped up. Say that.
Yeah, it was pretty disjointed.
Yeah, a bit. I guess coordinated. Badly coordinated, I'd say. I don't know.
It looks like we're gonna get that return Pyromancer, and it's not contested at all by Pumpkin Patch.
Yeah.
So, slowly, I think they took about 2k off the gold lead there, roughly. So,
yeah.
3k. Excuse me, I can't do math on a Monday.
Yeah, it's starting to get to that 20-minute, 30-minute marker. So at this point, it's really crucial and viable that your teammates, someone gets picked at this stage of the game. They're dead for I believe 20 or 50, I think 20 or 30 seconds. I think you're dead for, so it's up each time you're dead. So at this point in the game, you really want to be grouping with your team, because if one person gets picked, it's very bad for the team. I'd say it's not good.
I would echo that 100%. If you're not roving as at least 3 people, then you're just asking for trouble. So, and we get a Gold Fury secure, so that's gonna push that gold lead back up by about 50-ish.
Yeah, that was a good Donza.
Great Donza ult, although I hope that he didn't put himself in worse danger, which
Yeah.
he might have done. It doesn't look like he has his actives up yet. It turned around okay.
Yeah, it somehow worked.
Huge Baka ult. I think huge Morgan ult as well to get more of that damage in. Yeah, that was huge. I don't quite know what the decision-making process there was, but
I just think they were
flawed.
spread out and like they weren't like grouped properly. And at this stage of the game, grouping is very crucial to winning games. If you die at this stage of the game, you're dead for a very long time. So grouping up, is extremely important. Very important.
Definitely. Looks like Nemesis is kind of doubling down on building into crit. Oh, and a narrow trade out with Baka taking down the Sobek. That's just bad news in general for you, got Diffed. It's going to be very difficult for them to contest pretty much any objective that's not a Phoenix.
Yeah, they're super behind. Like contesting an objective is super not in their favor. Their best bet right now is to get what little farm they have and farm and defend or split push. Yeah, their best bet is to ward and try to steal objectives, but it doesn't appear they warded the yeah. But they can still defend. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good. I was just going to say, it'll be interesting to see how many wards were placed at the end of the game by each team.
Yeah, I'd say it's not enhanced, so they still have a chance to defend against it. It's really at that 30-minute marker that you really got to be contesting the Fire Giant, because it's not enhanced until 30 minutes into the game, so they still have a chance to defend against it. If they just group up and try to pick somebody, then I'd say they have a chance to.
I would expect at this point that they'd probably give up both of both of the left lane towers and probably the mid lane as well. I don't think that they get much value out of contesting those, and they're just gonna. And as I say it, so it appears.
Yeah, I agree. Their best chance to either split push Phoenixes at this point, I'd say.
Yeah.
Not FGs, but they have a chance to fight back.
Right. And they're sort of not quite hamstrung by their draft, but they are hamstrung a little bit by their item choices, because Bologna doesn't have the teleport. Their split push utility is kind of limited in terms of who can actually rotate quickly or get out of there quickly.
True.
So I'm not surprised to not see any split pushing by them. I think at this point they probably just don't want to get caught out and drop a kill
they don't want to make any decisions. It looks like they're going for the right tower. I'd say that's good decision making instead of trying to risk going for the just taking all the towers. Proper play. Just trying to siege the Phoenix when like everyone's under it is not the play. They're trying to fake them out. Try to fight them outside of their Phoenix, I'd say.
Now here's an. Okay, well, I'll hold off on that point while we watch this Phoenix battle go on.
Yeah,
looks like we have the Donza ult going in. That's gonna not quite secure the Nemesis.
By the Nemesis.
Yeah, really good beads by the Nemesis. Morgan is gonna fall again.
Yeah, save Corona only for that.
Yeah, that looks like they're just going to slightly different stages. But they are going to get the turnaround kill onto the AMs. They're farming onto the Donza Burrow by the AMC. And that was actually a lot of their objective damage gone. So...
Yeah, the positioning by the AMC in that team fight was perfect. He didn't put himself in danger. He was keeping his distance while poking it with his abilities. He did what he was supposed to do.
It's an interesting report. It looks like the top two players for Untitled Chapter almost have enough wards combined for all three of the other. I guess they've got 22 wards purchased in the top two slots. Everybody on You Got Diffed at significantly less than that. So
yeah, I just think that contesting the Phoenix when they have FG and they're behind, I feel like that just wasn't the proper play there. I'd say their best chance was giving them their title right there, but I don't know.
Probably the better call was to give up one Phoenix without contesting it. And especially, it's probably worth contesting if it's the Far Phoenix opposite the Fire Giant, but that was the one closest, which, generally speaking, has the least strategic value. So, I mean, it worked out. The game didn't end, and they were able to get a shutdown kill on Baka, so not a total loss by any means. And I guess they also picked up the Danzaburo earlier on the fight.
Yeah, it's looking
So,
pretty rough for Pumpkin Patch, but I still don't think it's over for them. I still think they have a chance to turn it around, but they really gotta start
yeah.
and playing
So,
like
it looks
better.
like, yeah, they've got to group up a little bit better. I think they have to improve a little bit on their peeling. Between
Yeah,
the Sobek and the Bologna, they should have a little bit, but it looks like they're kind of operating on, they're not communicating quite as well as they would hope to.
I agree with that. Yeah.
And it looks like we've got EFG spawning.
Yeah, it looks like they're taking a fight. This should be a fight that Pumpkin Patch wins. King Arthur is not there. He is at Phoenix, so they should win this, right? Oh no. Yeah, they should win.
You would think, but I think that they're far enough ahead, either with items or otherwise, that
Oh,
it
that's
doesn't quite
true.
matter. And King
It looks
Arthur
like
could
they're
just, it
grouping
looks
up
like
and
King
trying
Arthur
to.
teleported in, so now it's 5v4.
It's just 1 minute, and then the Fire Giant will become enhanced. They have to defend against this because there's one Phoenix down. If they get enhanced FG, they should be able to just end the game with that. With that.
Yeah, realistically, I think even if they didn't get the EFG, they would, if they got 2 picks here, I think they could push it and end.
Yeah, if they get at least 2 picks, 3 FG for Pumpkin Patch, I'd say. Yeah, the Bologna is slightly out of position here, and the Morgan is at Phoenix and not Earthwood. It's not good. Like, it's not good at all.
Yeah, they're just a little bit separated, and it probably could just be those
Yeah, it looks
first
like they're
games.
just going to force the Phoenix because they are poked out. They can't really contest it now because they're all super low. But it looks like the Arthur's looking kind of zoning away from the FG.
And it looks like they succeeded in that.
Yeah, now it's enhanced FG, so their best chance is to, they have to defend against that. If they can't let them into the Titan room, they have to stop them. Their assault. It's over.
Yeah.
But it's going to be really hard to box them with enhanced FG, I'd say.
Yeah, I would say that they'll really only be successful probably defending.
Yeah, the Bologna is out of position again. She might go down here. It's just not good positioning.
It's not good positioning. It's a little bit too far forward.
Yeah, especially when they could FG.
And what's truly baffling to me is the Nemesis all the way in the left hand.
Yeah,
I guess
another
they're in
bad
the trebuchet, but it really shouldn't.
That whole fight they had the Bologna. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh no, quite all right. Okay, and it looks like Baka's gonna pick up at least 2 kills there. Or I guess picking up 1 and then Morrigan falling. And I have to officially this is the game.
Yeah, they have
Okay, well, in a tight 31 minutes, 41 seconds, that'll be the first match of Pumpkin Patch and You Got Diffed.
I'd say my final thoughts on the game. I'd say You Got Diffed. They had pressure early game, but they kind of threw their lead because they didn't ward properly and they got objectives. So they had the lead at first, but they didn't like utilize it properly. I'd say they didn't utilize their lead. Then they threw the lead, but that's my final thoughts on the game. I'd say it was an even game until that happened. But
I think they needed to do a little bit more to support the Morrigan early on, just to prevent her from getting dived as much as was happening.
Yeah, there wasn't enough peel for the AMC and the Morgan, I'd say.
Yeah, and AMC, it looks like ended up with top damage for the game. So definitely putting in the work with those bees.
Like, he knew when to take his fights against the Danzaburo. Like, he knew when his abilities were down, and he knew when to fight into the Danzaburo, which is smart. You know, if you see his abilities are down, you want to try to fight into him, because he doesn't have any kill potential.
Yeah.
Which is smart. You know, if you see him use his abilities, you want to try to fight him, because he can't really do much if he doesn't have his taunt. That's like his biggest thing. He wants to throw his taunt, like damage you. If he doesn't have that, he doesn't really have any kill potential.
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of the issues that you got Diffed faced could be solved probably with a slightly different Guardian pick, just something with a little bit more peel and with a little bit more attention paid to protecting the mid laner. And I think
Yeah,
that game maybe still ends in a loss, but it ends in a closer loss. I
yeah,
think that Maniacs had a great game on the Bakasura, Swiftfish had a great game on the Morgan, and the Ganesh alts were immaculate and on point. So
yeah.
I'm
I'd say if
excited
you're
for game
picking a
two.
character, yeah, they weren't really initiating properly too. Oh, sorry. What's up? I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I've gave him all my thoughts on it.
Do you have any notes? Any changes we need to make? Okay. Okay.
Oh, hype my. Oh, yeah. I guess I need to be more excited. Yeah, sorry. I'm just kind of tired. I woke up about an hour ago. Pretty.
That's okay. I'll add unnecessary energy to this cast. So, uh, okay. First pick or first ban Bakasura. Excuse me. That's
Yeah, that
probably the
always
most sensible thing you
banned.
could do
Yeah,
after a game like that.
it's baffling that that got through the ban phase last time. How that got through the ban phase is interesting to me. But
Yeah. And it looks like we got the standard Jingwei ban again. Always going to be a good ban as long as this meta is in place. On the other side, we got the Zeus ban and the Mercury ban, and I'm assuming the Zeus ban is probably targeted. I don't think Zeus is ban worthy most of the time. I just think that from a damage output standpoint alone, uh, probably okay to take him off the table. But he's not really mobile. He can't really get away from a lot of the assassins that are commonly played now.
yeah, he kind
Uh,
of gets dove super easy since he doesn't have an escape. He has low mobility, so he's very vulnerable to death. But he
yeah,
does do a lot of damage. So if he drops his kit on somebody and they don't like target him or zone him or like put pressure on him, and he's able to free cast his abilities, it's going to be problematic for the team. But
yeah. And it looks like we got the Clio ban and the X-Ball ban coming out. X-Ball ban coming out again. I'm assuming that's also one of those targeted bans. I think he's a great character and I love playing him. I don't know that it's worth a ban.
yeah, I
Um,
think he's good, but in the current meta, I just feel like he kind of gets bullied into certain matchups. I'd say.
yeah. And the Clio ban is pretty standard. I
Yeah,
think, and that makes total sense to me. And we got a first pick on her. Which I always love seeing on her played. I think he's a great
yeah,
character.
yeah. Good early game fight potential, good kill potential early game. The King
Yeah.
Arthur pick, that's really good. Kind
So
of.
yeah, and they're picking up the King Arthur again. I think that that's smart. I think it worked great for the last game that they played. There's no reason to change that.
I'd
The
say picking
first,
him first is kind of risky though, because he can get counter picked into certain matchups. I'd say like getting an RDO or someone with a cripple would
yeah,
really ruin his day. Because if you get crippled, you can't use half of your kit if you're crippled. But,
that's true. I think that the nerfs to RDO a while back did kind of inhibit her ability to counter him. I think her cooldowns are just a little bit too long to effectively counter Arthur at this
true.
point. The
Yeah.
Cucullin, though, that is a classic Arthur counter, and I'm
Oh
always
yeah.
happy to see Cucullin. I do want to circle back to this Chiron pick, though. I really like that. And it
Yeah.
looks like they're going to actually take the Ganesh away from Lana after that last game.
Yeah,
And
and
that,
Nash ults were on point that game. I'd say that the only bad ult was the Danzaburl interaction with the ult, but I feel like that was more of an accident. That wasn't really,
yeah, that was almost
intentional.
certainly unintentional. But the Ganesh on her lane is going to be good. They're going to have maybe not the best kill potential early, but it's going to probably be better than Sobek AMC. But this
Yeah,
Chiron pick, I really love Chiron. I think he's an underrated ADC.
yeah,
Uh,
I agree. He has very good burst potential with the Bluestone. He has very good scaling, damage scaling with his abilities. Like his abilities have great scaling and damage. So
yeah,
I'd
and
say into Anher, he has kind of a bad matchup because Anher has more like kill potential. He has more boxing potential with the flat pin in his kit. I'd say it's kind of a bad matchup for him. But as long as he doesn't get jumped on, and he positions himself fine, he should be okay.
I
That's it.
think I think it's kind of a wash, to be honest. I think that with Onher, if Chiron ults, then Onher's just gonna ult him because he gets kind of reduced movement speed while Chiron gets reduced movement speed while he's ulting. So easier to hit all those spears. By the same token, I like the Chiron pick because of the CC cleanse. When you've got somebody like Ganesh on
Yeah,
the other team, you really don't want to deal with
and and also
that.
if timed correctly, you can cleanse the Anher like knockup. If you could save it when he jumps on you, cleanse the knockup, then you just kill him when he jumps in on you. Kind of bait his jump. That's really good
Exactly,
to
yeah.
the matchup. I
And
really
now
like the Scylla pick because she's really safe. She can get her damage off from a safe distance without putting herself in danger. She can dash away. She has a
I yeah, she's pretty good. I think her early game, I mean, historically has not been the strongest, but that kind of caters to this meta where it's more
oh, the
late game
Poseidon
focused.
pick. That is
Oh, now here's
that.
something interesting. We've got the Awilix. Well, we haven't even kind of glossed over talking about bands, but the Nemesis band came out. I'd say that that's probably smart. The Daji ban is also smart, and then on the other side we have two more assassin bans in Kali and Bastet.
Yeah, the Thor into the Poseidon is kind of rough because you don't really have an escape. So the Poseidon's really gonna have to position himself well and not put himself in danger. Because if the Thor ults on top of him, it's gonna be rough. I'd
Yeah,
say. And then Scylla has kind of a bad matchup into Poseidon because she gets crippled. She can't dash away. Then you just
right.
get krakened. So I'd say Scylla has a bad matchup into Poseidon. I'd say.
Now it
Then you got
looks like we might have a little bit of a role swap here, unless they forgot to swap gods. Um, so it looks like now we've got Rousseau pivoting over to the jungle after playing mid, and Costed slash Jimmy pivoting over to the mid after being the ADC.
yeah.
So lots of looks like the solo and the support have remained the same.
Yeah, I really like the Geb into the Scylla because it gives good synergy. Because if the Geb blinks into 5 people and ults them, the Scylla, if she has good follow up, will be able to like kill them. So they have like really good setup for the Scylla, I'd say. And if the Thor stuns someone, she has really good setup. Like they kind of built their team around Scylla, which I really like because it's really hard to confirm your damage on Scylla without setup. So
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to say. They have really the
And
only I'd
okay.
say the only kryptonite to that is if the Scylla gets picked, the whole like game plan kind of goes down the drain because they kind of built their team around that. So
They did build their team around it, and the Awilix is a really great Scylla counter just because she can pick while Scylla is using her 3.
and you get the iframe, so if you feather step, you can completely avoid her damage, which is problematic for the Scylla because if she jumps all of her abilities and doesn't hit anyone, then that's bad.
Yeah. And also, just one final comment on god selections before the game begins. The Geb into the Ganesh is always good too. Just yet another cleanse on top of the Chiron getting a cleanse. Uh, just
Yeah,
good peel across the board. So
the item selections here, I'd say that
Minions have spawned.
Uh, I don't know. I guess it's pretty standard. I guess Bluestone on Cucullin is what you want to go. I preferably like to go the Warrior's Axe, but that's personally what I do. But it's still good. Uh,
yeah, I think it's just kind of a kind of a preference on what you want that last upgraded starter to be, because I would generally pick the bluestone if only for it to
Oh
become
yeah,
corrupted bluestone.
yeah. The Chiron did not get bluestone. I think that's a huge mistake. Chiron utilizes that bluestone really well because all of his abilities can proc it. And I think going cowl isn't the proper play.
I like cowl as an item. I do think it works better if you're doing like the cowl into the dominance or the transcendence. Almost picking up an early kill there on the Chiron. Just
Yeah.
so much aggression coming out from the Ganesha on her lane, kind of.
Yeah, they're utilizing their pressure early game because Geb doesn't have any like pressure or like can't really peel effectively early game. So
And now, yeah, and now they've done something clever. They forced the Chiron off, so he's probably going to lose. I think it was a couple minions there, so he'll be slightly behind.
Yeah,
just because of how they're kind of dividing the lane.
Yeah, they even have a lot of pressure. They could freeze the wave and force the Chiron to miss a lot of experience if they play it correctly. They could freeze the wave and force him to miss a lot of experience because the Chiron can't really push up to the wave because he'll get jumped on. So, and I zone him away.
And we haven't talked about the solo lane much yet, but it's just a pretty classic slap fight. It's going about as well as you would expect it to go for both of these characters. Chiron's gonna, or pardon me, not Chiron. King Arthur's gonna slap around the Cucullin until the Cucullin gets a couple more points in his 1 and his 3, just to get the extra damage in that clear. And because Cucullin elected to not go that, the tier 1 of sovereignty, he's gonna be a little bit more susceptible to that King Arthur poke damage. So.
Yeah.
And we're kind of seeing a repeat of last time, it looks, or I guess not a repeat of last time, the inverse of last time, where you got Diffed has more control over the duo lane Harpies.
Yes.
So that's a good change that they've made already.
I'd say they're utilizing their pressure, and it's definitely well utilized. I'd say if you're getting pressured, you really want to be warding and taking the proper precautions, because if you die too much to like a character that can snowball, it's no good. If you're behind against a character that does a lot of damage,
right?
It's really hard to kill that person when they're super far ahead. They do a lot of damage, and it's a little.
Now, we've got an early rotation from the Poseidon here, and as you just pointed out, there is no ward coverage in the arenas as well. So that's going to be a kill on the Chiron pretty early on.
Yeah, it's just if you have like, you're ahead, you want to be warded. It's always bad. Warding certain teams, especially in this certain situation, I'd say. That's the best way I can describe it. I don't know.
Yeah. And it looks like the King Arthur's going to hit 5 slightly before the Cucullin here. I think just by sheer virtue of poke damage and just being able to play as aggressive as he can. Probably doesn't have too much of a lead, but yeah, Cucullin's just going to take over to 5 now. So
it's really hard to box Cucullin early game information and stuff, so it's really hard to box that character early game. So it's that early game.
And it looks like we have another kill going over into the duo lane on the Geb this time. It looks like Onher's going to secure that kill.
Yeah, it's looking pretty rough, because if you get behind and against Chiron, that's really not good, because Anher is a really snowbally character, and when you get behind against that, I'd say that it's rough to box the character, because now he can just pressure, he can rotate mid, get all of it too. The Chiron's just going to keep getting behind. It's just really bad, I'd say.
Yeah, it's not a great look, but the game is still early, and there's still time to make up that ground. Build difference is only about 1,000 at this point, so
If he plays smart and
quite
he
minimal.
doesn't die anymore, he should have a chance to come back. But if the Anhur is smart, he's gonna pressure his lead and keep him like super behind, like not
Yeah.
like barn.
And it
As long as
doesn't.
the Anhur doesn't throw his lead, he should be like good. I'd say for that matchup. It's good.
Yeah. And it looks like a Wheelix has elected to go into the Transcendence build, which I think is probably smart. Just gives you so much power, and the extra cooldown is always good.
I'm just kind of shocked that the Thor hasn't been ganking more. I'd say in this situation, if your teammate,
Well, you say that, but as we speak, Thor successfully ganks on her. So I don't quite know how much of a lead that's gonna, or how much of on her's lead that's gonna take away.
yeah, anytime a character has a lead like that, you have to shut them down if you're like jungling. 'Cause that's not no good. Because the more he gets ahead, then it creates problems. Like shutting him down right there is huge. So it takes away some of his pressure and his kill potential. But I would have been warding his hand. He didn't really ward properly. Anytime you have a lead like that, you want to utilize it and keep it by warding and pressuring your lead further, I'd say.
Yeah.
But that
Now Chiron has just taken has the level lead now.
yeah, that was a good
Excellent Thor ult
yeah,
and a
perfect
great
Thor ult.
escape. So yeah,
So that was
I
a
don't
little
quite know
question.
why they were just standing still there.
Yeah, that was
Ooh,
very
but we do get the
question.
double knockup. Now we're battling it out.
Oh, that was
Oh,
perfect solo ult.
oh, good dodge. Oh, they're all so low, but I just don't think a Wheelix has the cooldowns to follow up on any
Yeah,
of it.
Illa has to. I mean, the Willis has to let that go. She cannot 3v1 at this early in the game. 3v1. Yeah, that is super unfortunate for. Super unfortunate. If the. Yeah, I don't know why they were at the Harpy there, just standing there. That's like very bad positioning, I'd say. At a Poseidon. Just
Now,
quit.
I'm wondering if somebody walked over a ward in that back jungle, and that's why they were standing there.
Yeah.
Trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. It looks like they're rotating to oracles, and maybe Geb caught out here.
Yeah, that was a good build by the Dev. That was also a very perfect.
Oh, okay. He managed to get out of the. Well, he only delayed it, I guess. So. Now, interesting build choice here from Chiron. First starting the Cowl and then going into the Jotun's Wrath. I guess the cooldown on those abilities probably beneficial at this point. Doesn't give you a ton of power. It's not bad, but it's not great either. It's probably like a solid middle of the path build choice.
I'm not really sure what the Geb is building into there, but Geb suffers from like cooldown. Like a lot of his abilities have very like high like cooldown, so you really want to prioritize cooldowns. Like I would not be building whatever that is. I'd be going into like a Predwin or a breastplate there. Like you really want to prioritize cooldowns on the character. Another good Thor ult. Yeah.
A very good Thor ult.
Yeah, very good Thor ult, a very good Geb ult.
And a solo lane rotation as well. I think that's the second time in 2 games where we've had one solo laner rotate and one not.
Yeah, I said at the start of the match that's just rough for Poseidon into Thor because Thor has an easy time diving Poseidon because he doesn't have an escape ability, so he's going to be looking to target that a lot. So he's going to have to look to position himself or ward deeper into the jungle for that, because that's going to be really problematic for the Poseidon because he has there's no counterplay to that. He just has to play smart.
Yeah, I think the only other possible counterplay option would have been to somehow build tankier from the outset. So if he'd wanted to go a stacking route, like getting a Warlocks, he probably could have done that. But I just don't think that Poseidon itemizes great. that way.
Yeah, his best bet is to prioritize cooldown and try to kill somebody with his ult before it goes down, or
Yeah.
trade with somebody.
And it looks like both of the solo laners are probably going into that standard build that we've seen the last few weeks of the Sovereignty into the Glad Shield, and then either into the Genjis or the Holy Hunter's card.
Yeah.
And he looks like he is going to successfully steal the blue, so that's something.
Yeah, this Cocolan's gonna be really problematic if the Thor doesn't put pressure on him if he's able to straight farm like that. The King Arthur's gonna have a hard time into that, but I still think ganking mid is good.
Getting a good pull from a Wheelix
Yeah,
there,
ult
and
good.
just Scylla ult just off the mark, and Poseidon ult just off the mark to get the knockup.
Yeah.
A lot of low health bars, not a lot of cooldown. Thor will get the chase down.
Yeah, that was a good rotation by the Cocolan.
Excellent rotation. Oh, and Chiron with the cleanup.
Yes.
Man, those health bars are very low. Yeah, it was a... I understand the thought process. Probably should have just let that kill go.
Yeah.
And now On Her might be in trouble
Yeah,
as well,
he's in
especially
very
if Thor
big
has a
trouble.
stun.
It looks like he gets away though, but they do get pressure. It looks like they're gonna go for Pyromancer, which is the smart play.
Yeah.
I'd say going to Gold Fury was probably the better call, but I mean they get something. It's better than nothing.
I think in that case it probably makes sense just because of which lane they decided to go, or which part of the jungle they decided to go in. Right.
Yeah, I guess
Like, you don't want to backtrack if you're gonna
to secure rather than the Gold Fury takes too long to get. So I mean,
Yeah.
easier to kill that objective.
So it looks like we've got our our second item buys are coming in now. It looks like both the supports are going towards that. I would bet the cloak, or pardon me, the spirit robe. The spirit robe build that we've been seeing, and that makes sense, right? Give you that damage mitigation with the CC. Both teams.
It also synergizes well with the Sentinel's Embrace. If you get that, you get split your protections. I think 80% of whatever protections you have. So if you have a lot of protections, you're giving that to your teammates. So
Sure.
it synergizes well with the starter item.
Yeah, and one, I didn't comment on it at first, but the Chronos pendant for the Ganesh, not a tanky item by any means, but great, and it synergizes with the already kind of low cooldowns that Ganesh has. And as I'm speaking, looks like they pick up the Scylla off of a Kraken.
Yeah, the Ganesh ult is on like a 50 or 40 second cooldown, so you're definitely getting value from the item, but it's kind of a high risk, high reward type item because, oh no, that's a good beats by Poseidon then. At least he was predicting it this time.
Yeah, it was a good beats by Poseidon, and it didn't look... I don't know, maybe Thor was poked out already, or maybe Poseidon was able to land his one, the title surge.
Yeah, it's stunned. Looks like the Poseidon's
good trade out. Oh, and now we have...
Perfect and her ultimate.
Just
it
about,
looks like
yeah.
the Anhur is about to get away. It's kind of unfortunate. I guess he didn't have his 2 up, but it looks like...
I think...
Oh, no. Yeah.
Between the Geb shield and the Chiron damage.
Yeah, it was a perfect Geb ult there.
And Ganesh will go down as well, so...
Yeah. Yeah, I just think that, I don't know. There's not a whole lot that the Anchor could have done, I'd say. That was
Oh, and we get a turnaround kill onto the Awelix, and then another one onto the Poseidon. Oh, and then just like that, 4 kills across the board for You Got Diffed.
Yeah.
Which...
Yeah, like...
Actually, Oath, are the teams opposite of what they are?
Still have a lead, as long as they maintain their lead and they don't throw.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't want to call the wrong team. I just was confused for a second. Let's see here. And Thor, talking again about God builds, the Golden Blade choice is, you love it for the clear, but it doesn't give you quite as much burst damage. on abilities as you would hope.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a rough game for Pumpkin Patch for sure. 'Cause they are, I think they're down like 7 or 8K gold right now. It's definitely rough, but it's still a winnable game for them. It's just going to be kind of rough. They just really have to farm and ward and not let them take objectives. They're behind, but when you're behind, you don't really want to give up objectives. You still want to try to contest them, but you want to like have ward coverage over them, so you have still potential. You can steal it because you are behind. You can't really fight them, but you don't want to give up stuff.
I think we might at some point we might have to just start a drinking game for how many times we say ward coverage during this set, because we keep coming back to it. And that was a great point.
The warding was crucial in these types of matches. Behind.
I bet that's probably a kill in the Awelix there as well.
Yeah, the
So,
Willix got caught out a little bad position by the Willix. The questionable Chiron ult there. Chiron is kind of ulting nothing there. It's very interesting.
No kidding. Looks like they will get the turnaround kill into the Ganesh. Yeah, just questionable plays.
Yeah, I don't know. Very questionable positioning, questionable usage of abilities, I'd say. Good rotation by the Anhur, though.
Yeah, you get Stilla Aegis and Beads.
Bit of an unnecessary beads by the Anhur. I don't think you needed to beads that, but I guess it's there, I guess.
I get it. You know, you want to make sure that you get your damage off and don't get interrupted. But yeah, you probably...
It's done by the...
now you definitely wish you had beads, because you're just going to get turned on. But,
yeah, I just think that was a misplay. I just think jumping into two people there, jumping in is good. It's good to be aggressive, but in that particular situation, that just wasn't smart.
Yeah, now... I'm not sure why Awelix is fighting. She's level 12 and Thor's level 17. So
yeah,
like a 5 level difference. You're just never going to win that boxing match.
I'm also confused on why Poseidon is at the red buff. I feel like Poseidon should have rotated and helped Arthur that's just running through the jungle. The fact that King Arthur is able to just run through the jungle like that and not get punished for it is a problem. Like, they need to group up and trying to focus that King Arthur. Like, he's just able to run through the jungle and not get punished for it.
Yeah, at this point, you're probably not going to get an easy kill onto the King Arthur. Between the Oni Hunters, the Sovereignty, and the Glad Shield, that's just so much protection and mitigation. Oh.
Yeah, perfect, like Chiron ult, very perfect.
And a great follow-up from the masterful shot.
Oh yeah.
Really kill. So now, I can't imagine that this is anything except a Fire Giant, a Pyro, and then a Fire Giant. But with 2 down, and I guess you could contest it with Poseidon. The Kraken's a great secure tool, but with the way that they've been playing this far, I just don't see the Poseidon pushing up that far.
This is just a rough game. Just I don't think they're grouping up. They're just not warding properly. That's the issue. I'd say just the lack of wards and map awareness, I'd say, is problematic, and not grouping up. Like, grouping up is a problem.
Yeah, and one thing I want to highlight here, just looking at pure player damage. Well, and there's that's the honor.
But the Awilix is like super far. The Thor is just able to run at them. Like, that's not like.
Poseidon is dodging ults left and right, but finally
he's not getting a rotate from his solo lane, or they're trying to run it now.
No, he's not. Oh my.
Another good ult by the Chiron ult. Oh, he missed, I guess, one of his shots. But
yeah, I think he missed at least one there.
Yeah, the rotation by the Awilix there was kind of late. She should have been there earlier. It was kind of a late rotation, I'd say.
I mean, at this point, honestly, I don't even know that I would have her rotate. I would probably just have her be farming, because she's 5 levels down, and she's not doing meaningful damage. One thing I did want to comment on is the player damage for the solo laners, right? There's such a huge disparity at this point just because of the rotations that this King Arthur has been able to do.
Yeah, the shields by the Geb is on point. I'd say, like, getting his shields properly. A little bit mistimed. He could be using the deployments, but he's still like shields. I'd say that the Kakolan was
a little out of position there.
Like, was taking a bad fight. Like, they're behind. shouldn't be fighting at all. They should be warding and kind of looking to steal objectives at this point. I'd say just fighting is like out the window. Like they're just too far behind. They can't really fight.
There's the Awilix beads and the King Arthur are charged ult.
Yeah, they got to immediately disengage. I think
I don't know about that Ganesh ult.
They're outnumbered. They should be trying to look to run away, not fight. Like this.
Oh, and I don't know about that ult either. I don't think that there was much to follow up that on her ult with.
Yeah, the Willix got poked out, so she was forced to retreat. And when she ran away, they all should have followed her. But there's still potential here. Maybe no. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, there's too bad.
Yeah.
A good chase down by Thor there to make sure that the Ganesh is just.
Yeah, perfect. Scylla ult. Very perfect. Good Scylla. Oh, good beats by the Anher, because he would have died as well if he didn't beat the.
Yeah. And for having a rocky start, the Chiron has really turned it around. You know, 7, 1, and 5, level 18. Really.
Yeah, I mean, the Anher had pressure.
Damage.
He had a lead, but he didn't ward, and he threw his lead. So this is like kind of the result of that. When you don't ward properly, a good example. When you don't ward and you throw your lead. Like if you have a lead, you want to maintain it, not throw it. But
yeah, and. To be fair, and not to take anything away from the other team either, because the Thor rotations have been absolutely on point. They're playing like well-oiled.
The Thor hasn't missed an ult this time, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he might have missed one, but that might have been on purpose, just to like not get hit by.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's going to be a mostly.
As decided, it's really hard to deal with Thor ult because you have very low mobility and you don't have like an escape, so it's very hard to deal with the Thor ult. As decided.
And I would imagine that the Cullen goes down here. I think just a little bit too far out of position and not this map awareness. Like if the Fire Giant goes down, you should either be running or backing immediately. Just
it's 22 minutes into the game. It's like that mid to like late game. At this stage of the game, it doesn't matter what level you are. You want to be grouped with your team at 20 minutes. Like it's conquest. It's 20 minutes. You want to be grouped. Like this is where you're grouping up. But it looks like the Anher is trying to split push, which I think that's his best move here. I feel like
anything you can do to try and get your team some more gold is probably the play.
Because they're super far behind.
I appreciate that. Yeah, just wards win games. I don't know how often I have to say that, but it's the same amount of gold that you'd get from getting a Scorpion you could spend on a ward and avoid some of the disasters that we've witnessed here today. So
yeah, warding is very, very important. Like
well, that sounds like someone who needs to reevaluate their choices to me.
Yes. The lack of words and the lack of like map knowledge, I'd say, is
and it looks like they kind of gave up the Phoenix there, or the right Phoenix there, without much of a fight. Given how their team fights have gone thus far, I think that's probably fine.
I definitely agree.
Yeah, they're not going to gain too much. They might get a single kill, but at this point, they're down 11k. Pumpkin Patch is down 11k gold.
In this particular situation, anytime you're down like this or behind, you're looking to ward. You're not really trying to fight. You're trying to like defend and try to pick somebody. Like not really group, trying to like pick somebody off and look to kill like their biggest like threat. I'd say their biggest threat right now is that Thor. I'd say, or the Chiron.
The Thor or the Chiron definitely
are very problematic. I'd say the Scylla is kind of hard to lock down and kill as a Willix, but you can pull. I think you can pull Scylla out of her dash if timed correctly. So.
And we got more ulting now. Cullen's gonna ult as well.
Yeah, Cullen's initiating. It was a good initiation tactic, but he didn't really...
but we have a turnaround. Thor actually gets eliminated by the Awilix.
Yeah, we need a good Poseidon ult. Come on, give it That's like a.
It looks like he already used it.
Oh, that's too bad.
But it actually worked out for him because it's gonna take that's 2 huge shutdown kills on the Chiron, and now a 3rd one on the King Arthur, and now a
that's Fire Giant right there. Then you immediately go, oh wait, Fire Giant is down.
They already did Fire Giant.
They're running down mid right now. That's huge right there. A huge turnaround. So I'd say in that particular situation is they didn't ward like the 2 back sides like procedural middle.
I don't even know that that's like a ward thing. That might just be they got a little bit too separated and they let the defense do what it wanted to do.
Yeah, that's mid Phoenix. That's just a huge throw right there. That's not good.
They just popped the frenzy, so it's gonna go down even quicker. Now, if I were them in this case, I would probably rush for the pyro, because it's still one of the only objectives that's up. Gold just came up.
Yeah, if I was them in this particular...
But it looks like they're not even gonna go for that, and that's probably okay. Awilix was down massively in levels. It looks like now she's at level 20, so huge for her.
Yeah, the lack of peel when the Awilix jumped in was a little concerning, because when the Awilix jumped in, I didn't see the Geb try to, like, stun her or knock her up, or anything. Like, it was kind of a, I don't know, they didn't really try to peel the Awilix off of the team. I don't know that I noticed there, but it was a good initiation by the Cocoa.
Now that
initiation was perfect, I'd say.
I think it was just enough to get the separation you want to prevent them from helping out the fight.
It was good.
If that doesn't happen, then good disruption. But they're gonna get the Gold Fury.
Yeah.
That was just a Primal Fury, so not nearly as significant as the Oni Fury.
The Fire Giant is about to come up, so that you're probably looking to back and ward and try to like contest a perfect Thor ult. Will get beats.
But a complete miss on the Kraken.
Yeah, it was a perfect beats. The Fire Giant just came up, so this is gonna be like a fight over Fire Giant. This fight right here.
It is, and well, it's bad timing on the backs, but also just bad timing on the Kraken. That's like their primary secure tool.
Yeah, whoever gets this Fire Giant right here controls the game. This Fire Giant determines everything right now. So.
Yeah, if they get it within the next 2 minutes or so, it won't be enhanced. So the longer they posture,
the longer that we just need a good initiation by the Cocoa. The Cocoa needs to initiate and disrupt something. So
the Cocoa just used beads, I think.
Oh, that was a very bad initial right there. That was very bad.
Yeah. Okay, Arthur blinking in, trying to gain some space. Thor's ult.
It looks like they got the on.
Wheelix ulting. Scylla
good ult by the Scylla.
The Scorpion goes down. Chaos ensues. The Wheelix goes back in.
Perfect.
And I can't imagine that the Awilix. Oh my goodness!
Yes,
what a turnaround!
Oh my god! Those
the Awilix is just making masterful use of those immunity frames.
Unfortunately,
finally going to go down, but did a ton of work in that fight. And, that I don't know about that.
Unfortunate. Yeah.
But Cucullin's got over or close to half health. He can probably defend the right side on his own.
I don't know. It's going to be kind of rough to destroy that siege Juggernaut thing.
It'll be rough for him for sure. But
it's definitely not
at this point.
Yeah, they don't really have any objective shreds, so even if it does get in there, I don't think they can kill the Phoenix fast enough. And it looks like
probably not. And now they've got the minion wave spawning, which is only going to help get rid of that trebuchet. So
right. Yeah, and her just came back up, so he's gonna be able to shred this. So I guess the game kind of goes to a stalemate, but they still need to be warding so they don't try to sneak in.
They still need to be warding, but that was still a great fight for them. They got everything they needed to get out of it, short of getting an FG pick. It looks like they do have the trebuchet in left, but I don't think that they'll get more than that tower if they don't go and stop it.
I agree.
And it looks like now we're at the point where we're getting the upgraded starters. So it looks like we've got the Hunter's Cowl coming out for the Chiron, which is great for the lifesteal, and I think for the movement speed as well. We've got the Bomba's Hammer for the Awilix. I didn't. But
It's 1 minute until it becomes.
well, that is unfortunate for the Awilix.
Like someone needs to like put pressure on the Scylla. Like the Scylla's able to free cast her abilities. No one's really putting pressure on her, and that's kind of a problem. Like the Cocoan's really got to put pressure on her, so she can't just sit back and freak.
Oh my goodness!
Like
I don't know why you'd be that
They need to
far
immediately
forward.
retreat. They don't need to fight this.
It's a good Kraken. Got good damage out of that. But
That's not
okay,
good.
looks like the Scylla was slightly off the mark.
Yeah.
On her jumped in. Might.
It was a good Poseidon moment, but he kind of missed the center.
Oh, was able to get him with the last couple spears. Good turn.
This might be still possible if the Ganesh keeps buying time. Maybe. Oh no, it's not good.
I think what they have to hope for at this point is just a clean defense in Phoenix. I don't
know why the
can miss
Awilix
this.
wasn't in that team fight that whole time. She kind of wasn't there. I
think the Awilix just took too much damage early and wasn't healthy enough to really fight.
It looks like the fire giant might possibly go down here. It is enhanced, so
yeah, this is the big one. So
this is the fire giant that controls the game. So good kill by the Poseidon.
Great kill by the Poseidon.
Yeah.
Great kill by the Poseidon to take that down. Unfortunately, that good work is kind of undone by the Awilix dying.
I'm assuming Poseidon is he's like, it's like 15 seconds or something like that. He might have steal potential here. Poseidon has ult. He might be able to steal it. It just came up. They don't really have any secure. They don't have any way to secure the fire giant.
Interesting Chiron ult there. Probably just to get the vision, but.
Almost. That's missed time. So unfortunate.
There's a game of inches right there. Like just a second off or a second too late. I don't know. But
I think the Poseidon played a little too afraid there. I feel like if he like asserted himself and kind of like went in there, I feel like he had a better chance at stealing that. But it's all good. I don't think he knew. But,
that's okay.
It's all right.
He made a great effort, and now they've got to kind of settle in and do this defense.
Yeah, it's still not over yet. If the Awilix picks somebody or someone goes down, they might have a chance to defend against this assault. Let's say if they let's just see how it goes.
Has destroyed the Gold Fury.
They went for Gold Fury, so that's every second they spend not sieging the Phoenix is a second they're not utilizing the buff of Fire Giant, so that's good.
That's true, but it was an Oni Fury, so they are going to get the benefit of those enhanced waves.
Yeah, true.
So it will have a gradual effect, maybe not an immediate one.
Yeah, we need some initiation by either the Ganesh or the Colon, so the Poseidon can get his abilities off without putting himself in danger. But it looks like the Poseidon's getting kind of zoned.
The Poseidon's getting zoned, and I think the Ganesh just had the ult to give him space.
Yeah. It looks like the Thor's ult. Thor might be going in here, which is kind of.
Felix got zoned out.
That was
good
a good
turnaround. Oh, excellent turnaround. Wow, that's exactly what they needed. Thor dove too deep again and got picked off. And now
that was
picked
good.
off as well.
But yeah. Oh, this might be right here.
Two fights post Fire Giant that have gone absolutely disastrously for.
Yeah, the issue is that they're not tanking the Phoenix. No one's initiating, so they're like no one's putting pressure on the Poseidon, so the Poseidon's able to free cast his abilities and not like no one's like staying in his face, so he's able to get all of his damage off.
I think it's a classic dilemma that you'll see in ranked where you have people chasing kills instead of chasing objectives, and I think
like no one's putting pressure
twice in a row.
Yeah, that's a game.
And now they're gonna probably end this. I don't see any scenario in which they don't. So I think that's gonna be a game 3. Yeah. What a wild turnaround. You got diffed. Masterfully done, and masterfully done, but also some very costly misplays at the end there.
Yeah, it's just I think you got diff have a habit of throwing their lead. Like they'll have a lead or but they just won't like utilize it and like keep it and maintain it. I'd say that's probably the issue that is a
Uh, but
problem.
yeah, good. Props to them for sticking with it and having two excellent Phoenix defenses. Just an unfortunate series of events at the end there for the pumpkin patch.
Yeah,
So yeah, and I was gonna ask, can we look at the numbers? So what do we got here? It looks like
yeah,
overall the Poseidon just claims the total player damage lead.
the
Um,
17,000 from the Awilix, but you can't really fault the Awilix for that because she was kind of struggling in the early game because she was
well,
getting pressured out of her jungle and stuff like that. So I'd say that
right.
it wasn't really
Kind
her
of.
fault.
I wouldn't put any of it on the Awilix because I think the 11 assists also tells part of the story, right? Because she's still
Right,
setting up for other people.
I agree. Yeah,
But massive games out of the Chiron and the King Arthur, and the
yeah,
Thor too. Just
yeah. The
those
Thor
those
really.
deaths at the end really kind of slingshotted the other team into kind of reclaiming part of the game. So
Yeah, perfect shields by the Geb. I'd say the only issue is they didn't really have any initiation. Like the Geb should have initiated more instead of just the Chiron or the King Arthur, because there
yeah,
was no pressure being put on the Poseidon. He was just able to free cast his abilities, and that's very bad. That that
yeah.
was able to happen. But
Well,
that's
I
all I have to
I
say, I guess, about the game. But
Well, I think we're in for a great game three after these first couple of games. So
yeah, I'm
I'm
very
excited to
interested
see.
how Game Three is gonna go. How it's gonna go. Maybe they'll realize their mistakes and they'll learn to ward more. I'd say from the past mistakes. I'd say.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I need to go get some water so that my throat doesn't dry up if that's okay.
Yeah, I would like to finish eating my food. I guess while I wait.
Yeah, I'll type it in. Oh, oh, you're right.
I guess
Hi,
we're going
hi,
into
hi,
intermission.
fans. We're gonna go into a quick 5-minute intermission, so get your concessions. Uh, Make sure to use the restroom. Please
Yeah,
dispose of trash in the designated receptacles, and no flash photography.
yeah, and don't do drugs.
Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back to Game 3.
This
I,
game,
for one, am very excited.
yeah, it's very interesting games, I'd say, from both sides.
Yeah, we've gotten some really high highs and some really low lows, so
Yeah,
hopefully this game we get something in the middle.
this game will be the one that determines it all. Hopefully, by now, both teams have probably played against each other enough to where they can't kind of predict what the other person is going to do, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And it looks like we have a slight deviation. We're now seeing the Nemesis in that first ban slot. I think it got banned in the second stage of bans last game. Uh,
True.
and we see the Baka coming out again. That makes perfect sense. Had a
Yeah,
monster game one.
yeah,
Got
the,
the
the character should always be banned. I feel like it's just too OP. The Jinwei ban, that's
Yep, got the Cleo and Jingwei again. Pretty standard stuff.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh, okay. We got a little bit of a
every ban.
different look here. Now, I love this ban in principle, but is it worth letting potentially Ganesh come back through?
Probably not.
Or
I'd say that the Ganesh Shoal is is problematic if you don't have an escape, if you don't have a way to get out of it. So I think that the Ganesh Shoal is more dangerous. But
ooh, and Mercury made it through.
oh no,
Um,
that's not good at all. Uh,
Now, we haven't seen Mercury at all these past few games because they've usually been banning it first, either first or second.
but I
But if
guess it's a good character. But I guess it comes down to the player at the end of the day, how the player utilizes the character. It is strong, but
and I am the latter.
it's the
So
player that makes the character. I'd say it's the player.
yeah. Now we do see the King Arthur getting banned. I think that's really smart. Asian
Yeah,
has
I
had
agree.
a really great showing both games on this King Arthur. But
Yeah,
we are
unless
going to
you can.
see Kumbhakarna come through, which is a pretty good Merc counter. I mean, really a good counter for anybody, any auto attack based assassin.
Yeah,
But
the Mez is good, and plus he has the attack speed slow as well. We got the Uller pick, which that's kind of really good. It's
I
kind of a
love
rough
that.
match for Rama, though. Like, Rama has a tough time boxing Uller. I feel like a lot of hunters kind of have a rough time boxing Uller because he has a lot of, like, kill potential. And,
Yeah. Now it could be Uller mid.
yeah, that's
Um,
a possibility, I'd say.
you see
They
that a
could
lot
pick
in the
the
pro league.
Cocolan. So I'd say they pick the Cocolan to keep it out of the enemy's hands, I'd say. But
Yeah. Now this is good. We will see at least one other new god in the solo lane, which is always nice because I want to say it's been Cucullin King Arthur
ooh,
both
the
games.
Kali pick, that's really good.
Now
Yeah,
that's a great response to the Mercury.
yeah.
Another strong late game auto attack based assassin.
Yeah,
Um,
Kali's late game is cracked. She got it. You got an ult that gives you a second chance. If you kill your target, you heal 80%. It's an 80% heal, which is insane. 80%.
yeah, the heal is substantial, but it is a little risky because you do have to put yourself in situations where you might not get it. Which I guess is true
True.
for Mercury as well, because you can definitely put yourself well out of position with that ult.
And
But
plus,
we,
Kali's early game isn't the best because she doesn't do anything until you get, like, I believe 3 or 4 items online. I'd say her
you
early
you
game is
you
pretty bad.
do, yeah, I would agree with that. You do really need to get that Kins online to get the maximum benefit.
We're
But when
also
we're
picking Cuckoo Khan, which is another late game character. So I'm noticing a really like a pattern here. They have a Rama, a
hmm
Cucullin, and a Cuckoo Khan, which are all late game characters. So I assume they're picking the Kumbhakarna that can kind of peel for them, so they can
okay,
get to the late game. So
yeah, and 4 mage bans to kind of round out the banning phase. So we
yes,
haven't seen Baron at all this set, so I don't quite know. I guess you ban that for the solo lane because they haven't picked it yet.
yeah, they banned the Poseidon from last game, but I don't think the Poseidon was really problematic for the ban. I just don't think they were keeping pressure on the character or like
Yeah,
staying on the character. He was able to kind
and
of his
on the
abilities, which is
right.
probably.
And on the other side, we've got the Morgan Le Fay and the Agni bands, and both of those kind of those artillery style mages. Makes a lot of sense to have those banned. So,
Yeah,
um,
Agni can get his damage off from a distance, and he has an escape, so he's super safe. And
right
uh,
now,
Scylla,
Kumbhakarna. Now, just to kind of pivot back to the other side while they're picking their last character, and it's going to be a tier.
yeah,
Okay. Not the worst Indica Cullen. Um, I don't. To be honest, you don't see tier a lot anymore.
yeah, no, he's very. I don't know. I feel like he's a good character. I mean, it's hard to kill him in lane, I'd say, but I don't know. Once it's like late game, I feel like tier doesn't really do anything in the late
Well,
game.
he doesn't do a lot late game. What I will say though, between the tier and the Kumbhakarna, that is great setup for the Kukulkan. Just a lot of lockdown between the roots, the mez, the pushes. Uh, it shouldn't be too difficult for Costed to land some really big Spirit of the Nine Winds.
Yeah, I like the Scylla pick on their other team. The only kryptonite that I think with the Scylla is the fact that they don't really have any like way to set up for Scylla's damage, so it's really going to be hard to like confirm her damage without setup. But it is possible, I guess. But it's going to be really hard to land her abilities.
Yeah, I think Jing Chen gives you some of that, but most of the time people will either beat his ult or ult out of it. So you're almost never gonna get like a good 2 or 3 man pull with that.
Yeah, or you just simply jump away because it does have a bit of a wind up time. You have time to jump away from it, I'd say, if you're not like directly on top of him. Charging.
Yeah, and Hi-Rez, if you're listening, please revert Jing Chen to how he used to be, where that ult went off almost instantly. I would love to be able to play Jing Chen again and enjoy ulting with him. Okay, well, that may be a point of view that I alone have, but it was a different time, way back when.
I think.
Oh, okay. That would have been a great talking point. No, all good. But we do have at least one different build thing to talk about here. So it looks like Kumbhakarna is elected to go into that Benevolence instead of the Sentinel's Gift. So that's going to be really great for the sustain.
And also the Kakolan an entry pickup to heal instead of Bluestone, which is
I actually really love that item, and I wish more solo laners picked it up.
I'm assuming he bought that for the tier heal, so it's easier to kill him.
Yeah.
Box, so.
Yeah, I would think it's primarily for the tier heal, but to a lesser degree also for the Kali heal, right? Because she's going to heal off of her one and her ult, so anything you can do to reduce that is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we see the red start coming out here, and it looks like you got Diffed as elected to go with the speed start. Of the two, I probably prefer the speed start, but obviously you could make both of them work. I do think you get to lane a little bit later with the speed start. I think it displaces you slightly more.
I agree.
But
they didn't get Hog, I don't think, the Jing 10, so I guess they're going to be a little late to lane.
They actually arrived just about even, it looks like. Which isn't too bad. I don't think that there's going to be a lot of aggression in this lane early. Unless they get to level 2, like, really.
Uller has a really good kill potential into Rama. Can't really do much early game.
But Uller also has less than I guess he's got about a third of his mana now.
True.
But until he gets that Transcendence, though, that is one of the chief downsides of Uller, is how mana hungry he is. So.
Yeah, that's the only downside to Bluestone, is it doesn't get very good. I'd say that's the only kryptonite.
Yeah, not quite enough.
quite enough.
Although, for Uller, you kind of have to go Bluestone, I feel like. You don't really get a ton of value out of, like, the Death Toll or the Gilded Arrow, that sort of thing.
Yeah, true. I mean, Cowl's not bad if you get to the late game and you upgrade it, but still, it's not very good until you get to that point. Until you get to Cowl. So it looks like the Kumbhakarna might go down at the shell.
Yeah, pops the shell. Probably good to pop that shell just to be on the safe side. He's still got the Kumbhakarna passive, but it's better to pop the shell just because I think that's a lower cooldown. Almost getting him into tower range there.
Yeah.
Not quite. Didn't quite have enough distance.
It looks like the Collie's trying to look to invade here, but it doesn't look like she's quite going to be able to do anything. Collie early game.
Oh, I think we might have we do indeed have a solo kill to start the game.
And the Kakolan got a little too overly aggressive there, trying to box into the minions. You never want to really box into the troops early game. They can do a lot of damage. So.
Yeah, just an unfortunate start for Asian there. But we do have on the right side. It looks like we had a bit of a jungle invade. We had Kali in the back line, and
we're looking to invade.
I guess the tier in the back line as well. Oh.
Ollie at this point.
Okay, now the other shell gets popped, so... A lot of posturing and not a lot of action.
The Collie's got to be really careful. He doesn't do too much fighting early.
But Kali kind of has to contest this, because now at this point she's behind by probably half a level. And it looks like they're going to trade out kills, so jungler for jungler, and possibly...
Yeah, that's a
oh, unfortunate. Just a little bit too slippery on the tier there.
It looks like the tier is gonna. It was very smart for him to disengage and walk away there, not get greedy.
Yeah, just didn't have the mana or the health really to continue.
Yeah.
But tier 2-0, less than 4 minutes into the game, is not something you want to see most of the time.
Yeah, definitely not. No, it's all good.
You simply gotta hit those.
Yeah, Tyr is not very good unless you get a lead on him, because Tyr is not very, like, late game. He kind of falls off in relevance.
He basically just becomes a miniature CC bot at that point.
Yeah, because...
Which isn't a bad thing, but...
It's kind of hard. He's kind of a problem if he gets a level lead, and he's difficult to deal with, let's say. I don't know. I feel like that's a fight there for Uller and the Shington. I feel like they should take that fight there. It looks like they are turning away.
Oh, we might get a turnaround kill into the Kali if she can't get the jump. No, she gets away okay. For whatever reason, I think... sorry, go ahead.
I said Mercury's utilizing that early game potential, I guess, because Kali can't really box well early game, so he's utilizing that to the fullest.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And Mercury doesn't really have a great early game either, just a slightly better one than Kali, so...
Yeah, Kali, as long as... I feel like their team is good if they get to the late game. As long as they don't feed, I feel like they have a good late game. Like, their late game is better. Like, I feel like Pumpkin Patch is going to severely have to outplay them, like, in the late game if they want to win against that, because Kali is really hard to deal with in the late game. And Kakolan does a lot of damage, or Kukulkan does a lot of damage in the late game. So.
Now, Kali hasn't hit 5 yet, and Mercury just ticked over to level 6. Okay, I guess she just hit 5.
Yeah, that was a
when we see the Merc ult, I would imagine that Kumba goes down here. He's got no mana, he can't really get away.
Yeah, it was...
Looks like Uller will take him out with the hail of arrows.
Another thing about Mercury that a lot of people don't see coming is Mercury has a ult from a D2 tower. The D2 towers, so they really gotta watch out for that as well. A lot of people don't expect that or see that coming half of the time.
Very true. Very true.
So he definitely has some outplay potential with his ultimate if he ults down the lane and catch someone lacking.
Yeah. And it looks like Kali's trying to get a little bit of that farm back by invading on the order side here. Just getting a couple of those minion camps.
He punished the Mercury from rotating, so if he rotated, he got some of his farm. So it was kind of a trade.
Kind of a trade. But he's still ahead in farm overall, and he's also elected to go the I start, which I think is pretty standard on Mercury. And it looks like Kali's actually going to go into the Bumba's tree. So
yeah, she's really good with Bumba's spear or dag or hammer. I'd say she makes good use out of both of those items. I still think that Bumba's hammer is the way to go with her, but I guess it comes down to personal preference. But
yeah, I think of the two, I probably would go with the spear. I just think that extra power is so impactful.
Plus the pin is really good, but with Kali passive, you get pinned from your target. So I don't ever see myself doing that. But it's still good, I'd say. It's
yeah.
And plus, you get the heal from last hitting objectives too. You get that big heal, and you do more damage too.
Well, we got Mercury going in and actually tossing Tyr into the tier 2 tower. Say that 5 times fast. And okay, Scylla actually taking a good chunk of damage there from.
The Tyr is Tyr is doing Tyr things because he is super killable. So he is proxying the wave, and you can't really kill as Mercury. You don't really kill Tyr early. So it's utilizing.
No, not so much.
So
not so much.
But Olin, with his best bet here is to either is to proxy him or like look for a rotation. I would say.
I wonder what that ult was supposed to do.
Yeah, the Cola ult was a bit questionable. I don't know, the little questionable, like.
I'll chalk it up to Mina being able to see the whole map and before passing judgment. It could have just been maybe trying to throw it over the wall to get some of the minion wave. Okay, that's kind of what I thought, but I wasn't looking at the map information. But that makes sense.
Your team has fully powered the obelisk.
But this early in the game, I don't think the Olin or Cuckoo Khan ult does that much damage. I think it does around 300 or 400 damage this like stage game.
I mean, that is true, but Scylla also starts with some of the lowest health.
Yeah, that makes
as mages go. So I think that he could have easily finished off the Scylla there. I think he just didn't quite have a vision.
That makes I agree.
But for both supports here, we've got we've got the Gauntlet of Thebes, which is pretty standard, and we've got the Spear of Rope completed. Yeah, that's just Jing Chen things. Try as you might, you're gonna do that at least once or twice a game.
Yeah, the Scylla's going Book of Thoth. I mean, she has good clear, but I just feel like I wouldn't really do that because I don't know. Book of Thoth gives a lot of power, but it doesn't really have any like pin. I'd say like I'd go like more of a pin item. It does give a lot of power once you stack it, but
I would imagine that her next item here is probably going to be that Spear of Deso. Maybe. Ooh, we do get the Spirit of the Nine Winds coming out on the Scylla though, and absolutely wrecks it.
Yeah, it was a good blink by the Tyr too. Good blink and did like Fearless as well. A good rotation.
Probably Scylla probably shouldn't be that far forward.
Tyr
doesn't really have enough
pressure, and Uller is also utilizing his pressure because he knows that Rom can't really fight into him. This is going to be a good gank by the Kali coming down to shut down the
But Uller's going to be completely out of mana
He's
here.
He's able to return fire, but he has no.
Oh, just catching the arrow.
But a good lead.
Great lead. I didn't think the Uller had enough mana to make it. So.
Yeah, they basically dumped 2 ults and didn't get a kill, so they got big value out of that. They dropped 2 ults and didn't capitalize on anything. Anytime you force out someone's like ults and you don't get anything, that's always a good trade, I'd say.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. And Kukulkan Khan is electing to go that double stacking route, which we saw earlier this week.
But also the lack of wards is troubling, you know, because the Uller has pressure in lane, but he's not warding properly, so he's there.
Well, it looks like It looks like he's got at least one ward up.
Oh, that was a perfect tier.
Oh!
Also a perfect killer with it.
Yeah, that was a good ults across the board. Great secure from the Kukulkan, and then great ult from the Scylla.
That's also going to put the Mercury behind. Every second of him being dead, that's him not getting farm on the map. That's giving the Kali the benefit of getting farm. Like every second of him being dead.
Yeah, which she desperately needs because she's still down 2 levels.
Yeah, the Kali blinked in there. It was a little questionable blink. I don't think she killed anyone there. I think that was not a good blink though. I don't know about that.
Yeah, probably not.
The Rama is also out of position. You're super
very out of position. I don't think you should be up that far.
Yeah, definitely not. With no words on the map, just having words pushed up halfway down the lane. It's really not good.
Okay. Well, I think this is just prolonging things at this point.
Yeah.
Finally gets the chase down kill.
And I would have just accepted the death. I wouldn't even use my ult at that point.
It's probably I probably would have held on to the ult a little bit longer. But we did get the Scylla beads just now, so I would imagine in about probably whenever Kali has her blink back up, we could expect to see Scylla get ganked.
Yeah, the Mercury's really gotta do something about this tier. He really's gotta shut down this tier. This tier is becoming a problem because he's proxying the wave and he's able to rotate. I feel like there's not enough ganks, so they're not prioritizing.
Yeah, well, I think this is a great objective trade out here.
But this is a perfect call because they knew they were on Pyro, so they decided to go for gold, which is a good decision. Sorry to interrupt, my bad.
Oh, no, you're all good, all good.
Yeah. But I think that was good decision making by them to call for a gold fury attack because it was objective for them. Definitely good decision making.
Yeah. So let's see, we're about a little less than 15 minutes in.
The Kali has Golden Blade. I don't know. I don't think Kali needs Golden Blade to be good. I mean, it's a good item. It's good. It's cheap. But I feel like I would have went the Crusher into the Hastened. That's what I personally would have done. It looks like the Kukulkan's trying to double stack, and it looks like he's going into a defensive item, which is very interesting.
It is interesting. I'm sure that's going to be a breastplate that just synchronizes so well with the Kukulkan passive and just.
But yeah, he is getting a lot of power from those 2 items. So I guess you can afford to go.
Okay, we got somebody getting cut.
Well, that's perfect.
That was a great Jing Chen ult.
Very perfect. Very good.
And Kali didn't even ult. I don't think so. Not quite sure why, but maybe just CC'd out and couldn't do it. That is one danger of Kali getting the blink instead of the beast. Can't cleanse yourself.
The Mercury ulted there. That was a little questionable. I don't know if he should have ulted there. I don't know. It was a good tier ult, good initiation. But I don't think he's going to get any follow-up, though.
Great mez from the Kumba to separate that fight and prevent the Uller from making a run there.
Yeah, I think they're fighting here, but I don't think that's good. I think go farm. I don't know. It seems like a waste of a fight trying to fight the Uller and fishing. I don't know. I feel like they should just leave them alone and just go farm because it just seems like a waste of time. But I don't know. Not very good.
Could we look at individual gold totals? Or net worth totals, I guess, would be the... no, or maybe it's gold. Okay, that'll work. Yeah, so despite having a rocky start, it looks like Cullen's actually kind of turned that into a small lead, and that's probably just because Tier's been rotating more than the Cullen.
Yeah.
So...
Which it's tough, but there's not a whole lot you can do when the tier is super unkillable and he's proxying you. Like, I feel like at that point his best bet is to either proxy him or that's the only thing you can really do in that situation because tier is really hard to kill because you get bonus protections when you level up your 3rd ability.
Right.
And then on top of that you have a heal. So it's really hard to deal with that.
We got a Mercury ult in the mid lane.
Well, it didn't look like he hit
missed.
a good Kumakana ult, but it doesn't look like he's going to get any follow-up off of that, which is kind of unfortunate. A good Kali rotate. This is not looking good. She might be able to
Oh, okay.
still a use her dash early.
Oh, great Jing channel to separate the Kali.
Perfect there.
Cullen's gonna pick up that cleanup kill, so.
If the Ullr's looking for rotate, I think the Ullr should be banging left. The Ullr's rotating.
I would agree with that. There's not really a reason for Ullr to be here.
Yeah, that's better to farm the Ullr.
But now Rama has rotated as well.
Which I also just, I would have just stayed in lane and pushed this lane. I did mention about the tier. The tier still.
I would imagine. Oh, okay. So
Perfect fearless.
great. Okay, now Rama.
The shell. They forced the shell. That's good.
Yeah, he was able to wait out.
I don't think that's played there.
Okay, and Cullen with another cleanup kill. That's probably just going to add to the lead a little bit more.
Yeah.
Now at this point, we've got Gold Fury and Pyro probably spawning in the next 30 seconds or so. 30 seconds.
I'd say that you got Diff. This would be a perfect opportunity to look for an objective, or go back to farming. I'd say. I don't know in this particular situation, but it doesn't look like Gold Fury or Pyromancer is up at the moment. So, guess they can't really do that.
It looks like both of those just spawned, and it looks like Mercury might be trying to solo Pyro, which is kind of crazy. And I think he'll successfully solo Pyro because he's got the serrated edge finished. So he's got that lifesteal.
Yeah, 10 minutes. Or at 10 minutes, people are not warding objectives. That's when people are looking to look for objectives. It's crazy that there's no words on that, but that's
yeah,
and
I would imagine now that the Pyro is down, people are going to be paying more attention to that Gold Fury.
Looks like they're gonna ward Gold Fury though. At least that's smart on their part. But
Which is good.
yeah, they're looking to rip and take Gold Fury, which I like this call because they did Pyro management. So I think this is a good call as long as they don't steal here. I think that's just fine. I don't know.
Yeah, they've got a.
They don't really have good
on it though. Oh, we got the Rama ult coming out, and Pumpkin Patch is gonna secure it.
Oh, they secure it.
Yeah, it looks like they did secure it.
I don't agree with this though. I feel like they should
This is just a very disjointed fight. A lot of people casting abilities, not a lot of them are hitting.
Yeah, I'd say that they should distance. They got Gold here. There's really no need for them to take this fight. It's unnecessary, but it looks like they're going to take the fight, which I disagree with. But
big
Mercury
roll. Gonna try and get that.
Yeah, perfect kill by the corner. That was perfect.
I don't know why he backed off there. The Cullen probably would have had the kill position, but they are going to secure the first tier 1 tower in the mid lane with the help of their trebuchet.
Yes, they got to be careful they don't get too greedy though. You know, they're doing a good job at pressure at tower. They don't want to.
They're doing a good job. They just secured the Diffed Scorpion, and it looks like Ullr and Rama are having a traditional fight.
Ullr's
gotta be careful. Oh, I think he's dead here. Yeah. And that's just you hate to see that. Anytime you give Kali a kill for free, essentially.
It's starting to get 20 minutes. This is at this stage of the game. It's just start to where Kali starts to come online. At this stage of the game, you got like 4 items. You're starting to hit to that mid to late game marker, I'd say, in Conquest.
Yeah.
So you start to come online. So
now here's a question for you. It looks like Tyr has itemized into both the Stone Cutting Sword and the Runic Shield. Both items that don't really show up in the meta super often for solo laners. Any thoughts on that as a choice?
I'd say with Tyr, he's kind of a wild card. You know, you can kind of go anything on him. Preferably, you want to go kind of a hybrid build. But since the Tyr is really far ahead, kind of go with it. I'd say that Tyr is performing well in lane. He hasn't really died too much, so he's kind of gotten a lot of farms. So he can kind of afford to build an item like that because he's kind of ahead, I'd say, for gold. So
Yeah.
but normally I would want to go like a hybrid build or like a transcendence. You know, you want at least one damage item with your build, I'd say. So, you know, to stay relevant in the late game. Tier you fall off kind of hard.
Now here we have an example of that Kumba setup. Just mezzing out the Mercury, getting the Mercury's beads.
Yeah, the Mercury was kind of out of position there, I'd say. If he wasn't out of position, he would have gotten mezzed. A good Kali ult there, perfect Kali ult.
Very good Kali ult.
I don't think this is a fight that you just should take.
Oh, that was such a good...
Jing
yeah, it was a great Jing Chen ult. It looks like Tier's actually going to fall here.
Yeah, it's just, I just think this is a bad fight for them. I don't think they should have taken this fight.
No, they probably shouldn't be here, and that's going to get... it's going to take it.
Yeah, if they DS guy here, the Fire Giant here, which is good. That's...
and Kumba actually has to ult out, so if they don't disengage here,
yeah, if they kill Kukulkan, that's 100%.
But they do get the turnaround kill onto the Scylla.
Yeah, the Uller does kind of miss his axe. That's going to be kind of a problem, though. Just the Kukulkan is kind of slippery. It's hard to lock him down and kill him.
And even if you do catch up to the Kukulkan, because of the itemization choices, he's still going to be really tanky when you get there, right? Because he's got the breastplate, the fully stacked warlocks. Very slippery and obnoxious character.
But I feel like they had to take that fight. If they wouldn't take that fight, they would have just gotten an FG anyway. So I feel like they had to like take the fight, even though it wasn't really favorable for them. Or I don't know, it wasn't a fight that they should have taken. But I don't know. It's kind of a difficult situation.
Yeah, and now we've got a 4-man grouping at Pyro, which is going to go down uncontested, which makes sense when you just get the Fire Giant. So, let's see here. We're having a couple characters hit 20, or getting close to hitting 20 now. So, I would expect that we see another Eye of the Jungle come out for the Mercury. I would expect... We've already got the upgraded Bluestone brooch for the
Yeah, he does have the Titan's main, so he does have the pen to kill tanks, so that's good. So they have good tank shred.
Yeah.
Got the serrated edge from the Mercury and the crit, so that's good. I don't know. I'd say they built well.
Yeah, the builds are all on point across the board.
More or less just decision making. I just feel like this fight, right? You can go and jump.
And I believe now we have the Tainted Breastplate upgrade coming in for the Kukula.
Yeah, they should be defending right now. They have FG, so I don't think fighting there is that's the right idea.
Probably, and that's probably going to be the Kukula going down. And the Rama, what a great Mercury ult. That just completely changed the dynamic.
Yeah, the Tier just ulted into 4 people. He should just go down. That was their bad decision.
And a triple kill for the Mercury. That was a fantastic ult.
Yeah, it's good to initiate as Tiers, but you don't want to ult into like 5 people, because then you just kind of get blown up. You know, you don't want to do that.
You want to do it with purpose, not just do it because you can.
Yeah, you want to do it when your team is there to kind of back you up and follow up and kind of ult there when his teammates weren't like grouping up around him, which is of course a problem, I'd say.
Now they can't really end here. I think there's just the death timers are a little too low, and there's still 2 towers.
They're trying to push Phoenix here. I don't know if I agree with this, but it looks like they're going to do it. I don't know. They're kind of down players, so I guess they're going to do it. They might die for it though. I don't know.
But that's the Kali ulting in. I don't think she's gonna get. Yeah, she's gonna get picked off actually. Just good.
Yeah, I don't know. She kind of jumped in. She didn't really get it back up. She jumped in, but the team kind of just set back and didn't really help her out. You know, I'd say that was a problem. It was good initiation by her, but I guess she didn't get any follow up from her teammates. It was a problem. You know? But But I think when they all have FG, I don't think going in and fighting is just a good idea in general. I feel like if you have FG, you're trying to fight the team more defensively. You know, you don't really want to take fights like that.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, you do better in a defense than you will if you're the aggressor, if you don't have the buff advantage. So
yeah, I agree.
Just rough choices there.
You really only want to take the fight if they're like out of position or by themselves. You can't really box 4 people when they have FG buff on them. So.
Right. Yeah, and Kali is just hurting for farm right now. I think she really needs that Bomba Spear to get maximum benefit out of her character. And she's been at level 18 for the last few minutes, just ticking over the 19. Looks like Uller is itemizing probably into Heartseeker, would be my guess.
And the Cuckoo Khan is a bit out of position.
He's out of position. I think he's trying almost for a hero play. But he was able to get the Aegis. Aegis out of the solo. No, I guess not. Maybe he just missed it. Oh no, he got the Aegis out of the Uller.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't understand why he's there. There's just I don't get it. There's just no reason for him to be there.
Probably not. In any case, looks like Pumpkin Patch is grouped up as best they can, and they're now pushing down the left side.
Yeah, Mercury's by himself. He has to be careful, because if they all jump on him, he is kind of out of position here. If they all jump on him, he might die, so...
Yeah. The thing is, Kali doesn't have Blink or her beat.
Hey, that was a good mez by the Kumbhakarna, though.
Very good mez. And Uller actually dropping quite low in this fight. And Kali's gonna fall.
Yeah, looks like this
lane,
might,
I guess.
Might be.
All good. No, I suspect that this is probably the game just from an attrition standpoint. They can afford to chuck abilities in, and that's gonna be it. So, GG's. Well played to the Pumpkin Patch for taking that. Solid set.
Yeah, I say that it was good. I don't know. I'd say that they had the I'd say that Pumpkin Patch had the early game advantage there. They just kind of, and you got Diffed kind of picked a late game team there, but they didn't really get to that late game point where they kind of like thrived, I guess. So they kind of didn't. Game didn't go long enough for it to matter, and the Pumpkin Patch kind of snowballed. So it was kind of hard to shut down the tier. The tier was rotating, being a problem. And
yeah. So what are our highlights here? We've got 24k or almost 25k damage coming out from the Mercury, which makes
21,000 from the Uller. I feel like that's good.
Yeah. And then almost 21,000 from the Kukulkan. Fairly low damage numbers for the Kali, but that's about what you'd expect with how that game went. So
yeah, as Kali, you're kind of just hyper farming for that late game, so you're not really fighting too much anyway. So that's kind of expected, I'd say.
Yeah. But overall, let me do a little quick math here. So it looks like there were 49 boards placed by Pumpkin Patch and 32 by You Got Diffed. So definitely some work. Wait, 32. Maybe I did my math wrong.
Yeah, so I feel like
33.
Diffed is a good team, but I just feel like they need to warden more, and I feel like the decision making is a little off sometimes. Like they'll have a lead, but they won't utilize it properly, you know. And I think that's the problem, I'd say, with the team. But
I think that I think they've got some good actionable stuff to work on for their next week's sets.
I agree.
I don't want to make it sound doom and gloom, but, you know.
Yeah, I feel like both teams played well. There was definitely some decision making that wasn't made right, but, you know, there's always room for improvement.
Yeah, and hindsight's always going to be 2020. They don't have the benefit of looking at this like we do, so.
Yeah, every game is a learning experience, I'd say.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't have too much more to add for this particular cast.
Yeah, I have nothing more to add. I
But
think
a great set to watch for sure. So
it
hope you
definitely
all in the
interesting
viewing audience
to
enjoyed
watch.
that. Okay, and later tonight we have 0 to 100 playing the Secret Seekers. So for all of you who want more challenger action, please tune in later. But I think that will do it for us right now.
Right, yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything that needs to be covered, I'd say.
No, I think we watched a great set. Lots of good plays from both teams.
Yeah, I'd say
Lots of good places to improve on in the coming weeks.
yeah, I
And
agree.
yeah,
Yeah,
but happy to cast this games. It was a great time.
yeah, it was fun
Yeah.
being here and casting while it lasted. Yeah.
Okay. Well, from all of us here, thank you and good night.
Yeah. Good night. Have a nice night, everyone. Yeah.
We'll be back later.
We shall.